We direct, and it's my camera, my system's all good to go. Yes, we are good to go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Leveraging Your L's, where we talk about the lessons that we learned as a notary, and we try to share those with newer notaries or just seasoned notaries who may have been there or may not have been in those positions yet to help them avoid the potholes that we were unfortunately weren't able to. So my name is Rafael Jemison, aka Stamper, aka Stamp. We have my lovely co-host in the building. We have Tierra Bryant, aka The Efficient. How are you doing today, T?
Hey, actually, I'm doing pretty good. Today has been a pretty good day.
Yeah.
I went live earlier on the Wedding Official Academy Instagram. We talked about leveraging Facebook, so that was a good, dope conversation. Yeah, so just cooking up. How you been?
Doing good. Business has been kind of slow this week. It's been kind of slow so far this week. I booked a couple of appointments today, but this week it's been. Let me see. Let me go to my phone real fast. Let me see how many appointments I've done so far this week. I've been so for the second quarter, it was just so busy. I was so accustomed to being active, so it really hasn't been. You see, we've had 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 appointments so far this week. I'm accustomed to at least having 10 or 11 scheduled before Friday, but this today, man, I've been all right. Usually when it gets a little bit slow, then I get back to on my content creation game. So
Mm-hmm.
June it was really very busy, so I didn't really get a chance to like post a lot of content or just being in the mindset of if I'm at a signing or if I'm on my way to a signing, just to make sure I record, just to record what I'm actually doing. I can actually show folks that we're actually out here doing this business. So I've been posting a lot of content. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if you signed up for Threads. I guess
Yeah, I did. Yeah, the
that's
new hotness.
Twitter. Yeah, Twitter's new competition. So I started an account there yesterday. I mean, it's very similar to Twitter. I mean, damn near copy and paste for the
Yeah.
most part, but yeah, just posting content on there. Just posting content on LinkedIn. Still trying to continue to build up my LinkedIn presence.
Mm-hmm.
I know some notaries who got from LinkedIn, so right now the goal is to get business from there, but I just more focus on the process. Just being consistent, just content on there, just continue to be consistent day in and day out, and we'll see where the chips may fall. But other than that, yeah, business as usual. A couple of appointments here and there, and then just focusing on getting this content out.
That's what's up. It's
Yeah,
the grind.
fast. But we have an interesting topic today, talking about systems, and I don't think that's something that's always talked about. Having your systems in place, because as a business owner, if you don't have none of these things in place, how can you actually consistently generate revenue, right? You can trip it, you can damn near trip and fall into an appointment, but how can we consistently do this on? How can we consistently do this on the routine and be able to do this on a regular without even having to think about it? And so let's talk about systems for how you want to start this off. We want to talk about systems for booking appointments, systems for just like for your day-to-day operations, finances. How do you want to kick this off?
I think systems is super important because when you have systems, I hope that you take into consideration like that user experience or the customer journey, client journey, whatever you want to call it. Basically, how easy is it to engage with your business? How easy is it to get in contact with you? How easy it is to pay you? That's
Mm,
systems if we want to simplify it. And
right.
so anytime somebody comes to me like a new officiant, they're like, where do I get started? I'm like, you always want to start with pricing and packaging. So you always want to know like what's your pricing? That's a part of your system. So when someone calls you and they're like, especially notary, when someone call you and they're like, what's this amount right now? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you have to already have that.
Yeah.
So that's really important. How to book you. So if you want to use Calendly or whatever type of scheduling system, you need some type of scheduling software and make it super, super easy for people to book you. And if your scheduling software is really, really, really good, then it'll have a payment processing in place. So now it's easy to pay you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, those three are like the most important to really start at. But for me, I started with like Calendly. Calendly was like my number one when I started my notary business. You can, create events. You can create pre-screening questions. They have a little description blurb in there so that you can, really describe what the services are, so people make sure they're picking the right ones. There's payment processing in there. It's the calendar in there. You can link it with your Google Calendar. So I think when you're getting out there, Calendly is definitely the first and best option, and it's pretty straightforward. And they have more features if you want to like get into it like that. So
I definitely like Calendly. I remember we was having a conversation about that last week. I think it was about the routing forms, right? Is that a part of what I guess you have like your pre-screening question, like the same way you've got pre-screening questions over the phone, like pre-qualifying the client, the same thing, but it's from an online, right?
Yeah. It's even better because it's like a pre-qualifier to a pre-qualifier, because it helps them pick what event is best for whatever it is they're looking for, and then that'll only show them that event, so it takes away the decision fatigue or being like overstimulated with all of these choices. It'll give them exactly what they need, and then you still have your pre-screening questions like within there. So yeah, it's definitely dope, worth looking into. A little, I'm not going to say tedious. It takes a little time to set up because you're setting it up how you want to. It's completely customizable. So you definitely want to take the time to do it, but it is worth it.
Definitely. It is very tedious in the beginning, dealing with Calendly, especially for like I come across a couple of notices where they work in like large counties, and so they've had to do probably like 20 or 25 events. For me, I think that's a lot. That's a lot of like events to have, because I figure if you live in a large county, you have these specific events for 1 to 5 miles, 5 to 10 miles, 10 to 20, and so on and so forth. But then you have like those specialty events that we need as well for estate planning, loan signings, weddings, and things of that nature. So I would definitely get that stuff figured out ahead of time. And like I said, don't spend too much time on it. Just get it done at, probably only need to block out like an hour of time just to get everything set up. And then from there, you should be all set. Now, as far as like systems, what is a system that you use to keep track of your clients? Do you use like Notary Gadget, Notary Assist? Do you have a CRM? What is the tool that you use?
Yeah, so for notary stuff, I kind of use Notary Gadget. I don't do notary like super, super, super often. Honestly, my I-9s are starting to pick up and we love it here. So, I really do like, I don't do as much notary as I do on the wedding side, and I don't need any of that. My system is completely different for that. So definitely Notary Gadget. It seems to have like mostly everything you really need for like tracking and stuff like that. Definitely figure out how you want to send your invoices, if you're using Square, if you're using PayPal. And when you use those, make sure that you are factoring in the charges that you need to make your money available. So whenever anybody reaches out to me for notary services and he asks me what are my payment options, I say cash, Zelle, or PayPal, but there's like a $5 fee if you want to use the PayPal. So whatever my fee is, I'll just add $5, and that pretty much covers, whatever the charges are. But same thing for weddings. You can either Zelle me or you can do PayPal, and if you do PayPal, it's like a 5% transaction fee. So either way, you want to make sure that you're covering your costs so you get your like flat amount. Because I remember I was like, oh, you thinking you're making this much when you send that invoice, and then when that thing gets transferred to your account, you're like, it's a little bit of change missing. Like, where'd the change? So cover the change, okay?
Yeah, because a lot of times they'll have their fee right for you to actually accept the payment, and then like if you want to get like that quick payout, then it's an additional fee on top of that as well. Yeah. So I think that's definitely great advice to have people like actually understand like whatever servicer that you're using, know what the actual charges for that, and then whatever you're charging for that particular service, apply those charges onto that. So that way, if you're charging $100 for a particular service and you're getting paid through this particular platform, you was originally supposed to get $100, but you might end up winding up with like $94 or $93.
Yeah.
So instead of charging that flat 100, you might want to charge probably 106, right? And then those extra charges that are taken out, then you receive what you were supposed to originally get. I know this is a sidebar, but which one do you like? Do you like PayPal?
So right now I'm only using PayPal. I used to offer like a whole bunch of different payment options just to be like super convenient. But honestly, I strip that shit. You either do Zelle, you do PayPal for my wedding business, and then I add cash for like the notary business because
Okay.
who don't love a little gas money. So yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. See, me, I strictly use Stripe. I like everything to be simple, set up for me. I do get payments through PayPal, but it's like for people when they like buy the courses. Me personally, I hate PayPal. Like I hate it so much. They make it so they make it different times. Like so, I offered. So most signing services they offer like to send like they'll send you an e-check. But me, I like to pay out people fast. Um, and I've had moments where people literally will wait 3 months to cash a check, and I'm sitting there like, where did this $115 charge come from? But then I look at it, it's from a check. It's from a notary who completed a signing for us 2 or 3 months ago. I'm like, what the hell? Why you wait till the last minute? So in those situations, I like to use like PayPal or Zelle or Venmo to make sure notaries get paid pretty fast. Like I want to see those charges be cleared and we can be good to go. But PayPal sometimes they make it really difficult for me, like to pay out notaries, right? Where it gets to be a headache. So I like to use Stripe mainly for taking payments. Now we do have Venmo, that's another option, but I like using Stripe. Now as far as like systems that I use to like keep track of clients, I do use Notary Gadget, but the only thing I don't like about Notary Gadget is I can't send out emails or contact clients from that platform. Mainly just use to keep track of like your signings, especially if you're doing like if you actually drive into appointments. So the benefits to it, obviously, you keep track of your clients and you're able to track your mileage, to track your like the stamps, all that stuff. So around tax time, you got all your stuff squared away. But what I like to use is Hivemind. You've interviewed Daniel for Womanomics podcast. I love using Hivemind. I use it to track all my clients. So
that's fire.
Yeah, I like using it because for me, I have to be able to keep track of like all the clients who I've worked with, notaries who I've worked with as well. And I'm really big on emailing. I'm pretty sure, as you know, last year I was sending out 2 to 3 emails a day. Which I don't really do that anymore. So I probably send out about 6 emails. For those corporate clients, it's important to keep those emails. But more importantly, for those consumers, for those one-off consumers, it's very important to keep those emails because more times than not, we're only going to see them one time, right? And they call us when they need us. But I want to be able to keep in constant contact with them. So if the way I would email them is going to be different from what I would do as a course creator. Because as a course creator, you're probably going to send out a bunch of emails a week, just to keep notaries in tune with what's going on in the industry or whatnot. But for those people who may only need a notary once or twice, I'm probably going to send them probably 2 emails a month at that. I just want to be able to stay top of mind in case they know someone who may need a notary, right? It's always good to keep that information because you never know what's going to come from that. So I would say it's very important to have like a CRM tool. If you don't have a CRM, then use Notary Gadget. It's just always good to keep track of all the information, to keep track of your clients who you're working with. So that way, at some point, you're going to be able to stay top of mind and continue to get their business. So Hivemind, I use Notary Gadget. They take payments. Stripe is another platform I like to use. Now, I don't know if you still scan documents. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much required in the world at this point in time. But let's say for those people, for those notaries who do have to scan documents, if they don't have, let's say if they don't have like an actual mobile scanner, like an actual device that they use at the table, I don't know if it's something that you do, but if so, what would be something that you would recommend as far as for like scanning documents, like for that type of system?
Honestly, I used to use Cam Scanner. So here is my confession. I ain't never buy no scanner. I ain't never buy no dual printer. I use my grandmama printer that was like 15 years old. Like I ain't never did none of that.
That's funny.
But I will also say I've also been, lucky to work with people who, if at max, they just want the notarized or signed pages sent. So I'm not scanning back a $250 package.
Yeah.
I'm taking a picture of maybe like 10 to 15 photos.
Mhm.
So I've been able to conduct business with that app, and I've been happy about that. But I know people who have a whole mobile setup in their in the back of their car. Is
Yeah.
definitely some benefits to that. You can, take those last minute appointments. You're able to charge a little bit more for those last minute appointments. You're
Yeah.
not running back home to get whatever you need to get. You can prep and do it wherever you need to. So there's definitely benefits to investing in those type of supplies, but I feel like that's only if you're really, really, really willing to double down and do the work that you
Mhm.
need to have a consistent cash flow in like the loan signing space.
Mhm.
Because outside of that, it's really not worth it. That it is expensive. Even when I go on Facebook groups, you'll be good to go on Facebook groups or Facebook Marketplace to look for those type of things. But I see a lot of time in notary Facebook groups, people be reselling their printers.
Yeah.
They be reselling them for like $375,
Yeah.
and that's less than what they pay for it. So
Yeah.
understand the investment. But if
Mhm.
it's something, a couple pages here, there, max, 20. Cam Scanner is really, really good. You can buy a yearly subscription, or you can do, I think, monthly. But it's pretty clear. You able to like edit it, and then it can be transcribed into like a PDF, and
Mhm.
you can send that, to whoever it is. So I've never had any issues with any title company or any real estate people I've worked with. I've sent you Cam Scanner
Yeah.
documents as your notary, so
Yeah.
I never had no issues with it.
I like that one. Jay put me on. Shout out to Jay. He put me on to Genius Scan. That's another one that Genius Scan is another one that works.
We
I
gotta
had
get
a
Jay on here.
signing. Say it again.
I said we gotta get Jay on here.
Yeah, one of these days. Yeah, he'd be so busy. That dude is killing it. So he'd be busy. He'd be disappearing in the group chat. So I completely understand. He'd be busy down there in Florida.
Oh,
Um,
that's right.
what was I going to say real fast? What I was going to say is Genius Scan. He put me onto that. That was a great app to use as well. I had an estate plan signing where this particular client, they wanted instead of like the signature page, the signature and notarized pages to be scanned back, they wanted the entire set of documents. And I'm not accustomed to that because I don't have a scanner device because most signings don't really require me to doesn't require me to be there for the most part. So at times it doesn't make sense for me to um actually need a like actual like mobile scanner, I mean a mobile scanner or printer in my vehicle or whatnot. So I pretty much just download it, and I'm a customer using the Notes app in my for the iPhone. So the Notes app already has the setup where you can scan documents, but it's limited. You can only scan up 5 pages, and then you have to start all over again. So I don't want to have to send like 4 or 5 different attachments, especially if it's like a 100-page document. But for this one, Genius Scan, I was able to scan the entire set of documents, send in the email, and I was good to go. So Genius
That's
Scan is
true.
definitely a good app to use. Um,
It's cheaper.
speaking of printers, I know for a while it was very difficult for like most notaries coming into the business to find a printer.
Yep.
And even then, if you were able to find a printer, they was like trying to charge people like $700 for what? 700 for a
Yep.
printer. But it's funny enough to see now that the loan signing market has cooled down a bit. Now we're seeing people actually like trying to sell their printers for less than what they originally bought it for because obviously it was overpriced to begin with. Like I have a Brother H2L 5200 printer that I bought in 2018. I still use it to this day. Very, very durable printer that I use to this day. And so for people, I think I may pay like less than probably pay like 350 for it. So to see people trying to charge, I see like companies like trying to charge you 700 going on eBay. It's like, I can't do that. So it's oddly enough, it's funny to see how the prices are coming back down for those printers. So we have systems for scanning documents. We have systems for taking payments. We have systems for keeping track of our clients, inputting signings that were performed. What would you say? What is the system for yours? How do you handle appointment setting? Now, obviously, we have the Calendly, right? But how do you handle those? What is your system for? Let's say if I'm a client, I call you. I want to get on your calendar. I actually do get on your calendar. I don't know if you require a deposit up front or not. And let's say we get it on the calendar, and then all of a sudden I no show or I cancel at the last minute. What is the system? What are some systems that you have in place for that a newer notary can benefit from learning from?
Okay, so definitely one of the things that I've implemented on my Calendly, excuse me, and again, just like utilizing the features that the software like already has, is you can set in reconfirmations. So that's one thing that I literally love. You can do text reminders, you can do email reminders. You basically can set up like a workflow for an event. So for me, if someone is to schedule a consultation, so it typically goes like this. They'll reach out to me on a platform or call me. I'll invite them to a consultation once we discover that I'm available for their wedding. And then I will send them a link with Calendly. It will ask them just a couple of regular pre-qualifier questions. And then immediately after they close out the link, it sends them an email with my questionnaire that I need them to fill out within 24 hours of making their, consultation. So they fill that out. All of the information goes into my Google Sheets. And then 24 hours before our consultation, they'll get a reminder, a text reminder. An hour before they'll get a they'll get a reconfirmation. And then I think 30 minutes before they'll get a text reminder. So it's very unlikely that I have no shows. But what I have noticed is that if a couple books, because you can give them options of like how you want to meet with them. So with Calendly, I give them the option of us meeting on Google Meet or us doing a phone consultation. So I've noticed that people who pick phone consultations are more likely to no-show than people who pick video consultations. So I think that gives me a little bit of, clarity as well, some information. And then also, they do have like a no-show button that you can click, after you have like your event, if you go into your Calendly on the back end. So I really like that. I love that you can reschedule for your people as well on your end. So if I have to reschedule something, I'm like, hey, can I move you to Tuesday at 10? They're like, okay. And I do that conveniently for them and they just get the confirmation. So even that perceived convenience is like super helpful on the other end. But that's really why I love Calendly. That's where I tell people to start. Every meeting that I have with my couple throughout our wedding planning process, I use Calendly for. So their intro meeting, their final meeting, as well as their check-ins and their couples interview. I just have a little pre-made email template with a little link button with that Calendly link, and I just send it.
That's dope. It makes it easier for you to keep track of all of that stuff, and it helps. What I found is like one of the cool things with Calendly is when you send out those appointment reminders, that definitely helps to reduce those no-shows. That's interesting that when people do the video consultations, they don't no-show, but if it comes to a phone consultation, they do no-show. I would have thought they still would have show up even if you do the phone consultation. So I thought that's interesting.
Yeah. It's like I would say it's probably like 70-30, like 30% like won't show. They won't really follow up, like a complete like ghosting. It's like, girl, I ain't scheduled this appointment, you did. But that's you just like chuck it up to the game and you keep it pushing. But it's definitely something I noticed. And I think with video consultations, it's like, one, I feel like you're more serious because you want to see what I look like, right? Like I'm about to be a big, part of your day and we're going to meet. So you want to make sure the vibes is right. And yes, you can tell that over the phone, but I think like a face-to-face, you kind of get more of a sense. And then also I feel like you kind of got to make sure that you look decent too. So you put a little bit more energy and effort into getting yourself together in preparation for a video consultation, than a phone. And it's just easier to overlook a phone call. If you don't know my phone number, you might not answer. I'll follow up with a text, but still, you be like, all right, I'll call her back.
Yeah. Okay. So ours are pretty similar. So I have two different ways. So for the setup for let's say if I have a corporate client, because I have corporate clients, and most of them they tend to use, well, the majority of the corporate clients they use, well, not majority, all of them, they all use my Calendly, right?
Right.
So I have it set up to where I do have their appointment reminders that go out, because they'll not only will they include themselves on the Calendly, but they'll include the signer's email in the event as well. So I have text reminders that's going to be sent out. I have appointment reminders that's going to be sent out as well. So let's say if a person does need to reschedule, my system for that is pretty much I just require them to like at least give me, like, unless it's like an emergency situation, then hey, I understand we just need to reschedule. But I do typically try to have them at least give me a heads up ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
At least give me at least 24-hour heads up. At the bare minimum 24 hours that you need to reschedule. I do have that set up, and then if a person, and now if the client does cancel or no show, I do charge a cancellation fee. Especially because you got to figure, especially if the notary, like even then, I had a couple of appointments this week where the notary actually showed up. No, today I had an appointment where the notary went to the appointment, and this appointment was confirmed a week ago, and then the notary goes to the appointment, and then they call me and tell me that the client doesn't have the documents prepared, that is totally unprepared for the signing. And so in a situation like that, we're going to charge the client a fee. we're going to charge them a travel fee for that, because you got to figure I'm operating as an agency, so I got to pay the notary for actually traveling there, and then I still need to be compensated as well, because I had to actually spend time trying to find someone that's available. And as you know, most notaries who we contact, they either not available or they don't answer the phone at all. So you can imagine the amount of text messages that we're sending out, the phone calls that we're making to see if someone's available. So we have to charge you a fee for that as well. So I would say for interview in place for clients that no show or they cancel at the last minute, and the way you still be compensated for your time is obviously requiring what we call it a security deposit. So let's say if the signing is going to be $100, you may end up charging them either the full $100. Well, actually, you probably should just end up charging them the full fee anyway. So that way, if they pay your full fee ahead of time, confirm, and then that reduces the chances of a no-show. Now, if you don't have like a system in place for if a person doesn't show up or they cancel on you, then not only did you go to that appointment, but you also didn't get paid for your time as well. So I've gotten burnt like that twice. I've gotten burnt like that before, where I schedule an appointment and I'm not even thinking nothing of it, because it's only two exits away from where I live at. And then I go to the signing, and then the people, so this is for a bill of sale signing, and they're not even on the same page as far as the pricing for the truck, and it was just like a waste of my time. So I actually left my house to go to this appointment, and I didn't even get paid for it. And then I find out at the signing that it's been canceled. So to avoid no shows, get paid up front. And then if that person has an issue with you getting paid up front, you just let them know, like, hey, if we happen to no show, or if the appointment gets canceled ahead of time, we offer you a 100% refund, and that should clear up any issue that you have and to proceed with the appointment. But to reduce those no shows, get paid up front, and that'll save you a lot. And that'll save you a lot of time and energy.
Nah, definitely, especially like with that travel fee. Because I remember when I first started, I had it was some type of a state document signing at like my local hospital, which is about maybe a 10-minute drive from me, not super far. I never really had to pay for parking because I used to work there. So what ended up happening is I had to go up there 3 times, because I think the first time, right before I got there, he got taken to a test. The second time, like the doctors was all there. And so we had to reschedule. And then the third time we end up getting it completed. But one thing I wish I would have did is had them pay that damn travel fee before I went there, because it's like I had to go there not once, not twice, but 3 times to like get this one thing done. And granted, it's not far, but that was definitely a learning lesson for me, because when you think about it, it's your time, it's the parking, it's like all of that you're wasting. So you definitely at least want to make sure you get your travel fee covered, even if you just want to get your travel fee for people to book, and then maybe you charge them, whatever different, or have like a different type of payment option for them. You can set that up in your Calendly. Like you can pick how much someone needs to pay for an event. So
Mhm.
I love that about Calendly too. And I don't know if you talked about it, and I know you use it, but the how you can hide an event, so like you can make it private
Yeah.
basically, so
Yeah.
nobody else can see the event. It's like a
Mhm.
special, it's like your the link or whatever, and then you can send it to someone. So for
Yeah.
me, my whole process, all of the meetings that I have set up, all of those are hidden. If you go to my Calendly now, you'll only get two options: a custom wedding or a quick legal wedding.
Yeah.
But all my other ones are hidden. So I love that. When I do vows with my couples, they have their own special link for that. And you can write, different custom descriptions, all that stuff. So for my business, it adds like a little personalized touch, but it's really good for navigating and building like B2B. Now they have their own special link, to your Calendly.
Yeah. I probably got 40 or 50 of those. just, just from like, just being in contact with different like paralegals and attorneys, like, hey, I'll create a link for you. I got so many of those.
Yep.
Some of them use them, some of them they still want to call in. It's like, hey, either or, as long as you call me for the signing, hey, I don't care either or. But yeah,
Wait,
those,
so there
so
was one thing I wanted to ask you, or I want you to touch on, in regards to Calendly. So, like you say, you have like 40 or 50 links. I remember when I first started, I used to have like a lot of links on my like regular Calendly page, and right, so we know that gets like super confusing, and you want to simplify the buying process for your potential clients. So, what would you say is like a good number of like Calendly events to have on your page? You don't want to have too little, but you don't want to, what I'm saying, like have too many.
Mhm. That's a good question. That's a really great question. How many should you have? So I would say for me, I have a loan signing event. I have a I have a loan signing event. I have an estate planning event. I have a power of attorney event. Because those are just the common signings that I do, and then I have events for 1 to 2 signatures, 3 to 4, and then 5 to 6. So altogether, I may have like seven events that I have on there. The reason why I think 7 is a good number. I don't want to have too many of them because I don't want to confuse the client who's on my page. I was like, well, I don't know which one should I get. So for those specialty ones, the loan signing, the estate planning, power of attorneys, those are pretty much the common signings that I typically do all the time. And then for the ones where it's like those miscellaneous documents, whether it's like a private business arrangement or a financial document or like any general notary work, I just have like a schedule. I just have like 4 or 5 events for scheduled mobile notary, and then if it requires 1 to 2 signatures, 3 to 4, and then 5 to 6, and so on and so forth.
That's
And
pretty
then
cool.
so before I had before for those specialty events, I would have it. You would need to pay first in order to get on the calendar. But then just for the one to be the general notary work, you could just schedule to get on the calendar. But I ended up changing that. And so now when I have it for the 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, like I have it like set up to like, okay, this is what the price range would be if you would need this how much it would be if you need these amount of signatures. And so now in order to use those links, you gotta actually get on the calendar. Now for the ones that has those secret events for my corporate clients, like no, already pretty it's already been enough like trust established already just from the working relationship involved, where it's like, hey, if they don't pay me that week, that's fine. I know at the end of the month, I know they're going to at least pay me because they're going to consistently send me business. So for those clients, I don't really trip off getting paid like that same week or 2 weeks from now because I know I'm going to get paid. But for those newer clients, those consumers, yeah, we got to get paid up front. Got to get paid up front. And the funny thing about that, and a great example of this as well. Now, I remember last week I told you about the client who called me. We had an appointment scheduled, and she called and told me she wasn't able to do it because she was drunk.
Yeah.
So funny enough, right? The client that I had now the notary that I had assigned for that signing, I told her that same day, an hour before the signing, that the signing was canceled. Now, fast forward, I want to say probably a week later, probably a week or two later, she texts me yesterday. She sends me an invoice. I'm like, where's this invoice come from? Like, what is this about? And so she sends me an invoice via email, another invoice through a text message. And so I follow up with her. I'm like, hey, are you sure the signing was completed? Because I text you that the day that it was supposed to be scheduled for, that the signing was canceled, and you didn't need to go to the appointment because the lady told us, she wasn't able to do it or whatnot. But this lady ends up calling the notary and told her she is going to proceed with the signing. Now, not only I didn't get paid for the signing, but then that notary didn't get paid for the signing as well, right? So it's like the lady just got a free signing just nowhere. Now I don't know if she pulled a finesse, or all of a sudden she just sobered up really quick. Who knows? But for those type of situations, that's why it's important for you to get paid up front. It's really important for you to get paid up front, because that lady possibly just pulled a whole finesse situation.
But why that notary didn't check in with you? If you said it was canceled, but you called that lady and she said it's on, why you ain't called you back and be like, is it canceled? Because that's what I'm doing. I'm like, is it canceled? Is it on? She's saying she ready to go. You saying don't do it. She drunk. What's up?
Yeah, I would have at least followed up just to confirm, hey, this lady called and let me know that the signing was going. I just want to confirm with you if it's still going to take place. And then I find out you did do the signing. After I told you it was canceled, then you're sending me the invoice. And,
oh no!
Damn, what am I supposed? Yeah, that's a lesson learned right there. So we both got burned. Essentially, we both got burned. And so, in a situation like that, to avoid situations like that, get paid up front. Now, again, if it's like a corporate client, I'm gonna give them a little bit of leeway, because corporate clients typically, when they need a signing, it absolutely needs to be done, because when they need the signing, it's for their client, and then they actually need their client's business, right? And so they actually need this done. But for people that's and they may not ever call you again, and they may try to end up ducking your phone calls, which is exactly what the lady did. I called her yesterday. I was like, hey, this is this so and so? She's like, oh, I'm driving, and she just hangs up the phone, right? And so now we're playing phone tag, and then when you're playing phone tag, people like to play. They don't want to answer the phone, and you end up getting frustrated in the process. So to avoid that, get paid up front, especially from clients who you don't know. Especially if it's like a one signature signing, get paid up front, and that's how you avoid that situation. So that if this signing is going to take place, it's going to take place because they actually paid you up front, as opposed to you just get it on the calendar. You find out that they canceling at the last minute, where that slot could have been used for another person who may have used your services at that time. So it's like a way of just, sometimes you got to hold these folks accountable. You got to hold consumers accountable, because if you let them, they will waste your time.
Yes, they will.
They will. I'm trying to think. Is there any? So we have systems for appointment setting. Systems for. I'm not going to go over systems for pre-qualifying clients, because I think we nailed that on hit the nail on the head for that one. Taking payments. Pre-screening online, Calendly. Keeping track of your clients, information, notaries who you everywhere in your network as well. Is there something else that we're missing as far as systems are involved? Probably. The only thing I can think is a system for following up on payments, but we don't work with some. I don't know about you, but I don't really work with signing services like that, because I pretty much already have that model set up for myself. But for those notaries out there who do work with signing services, I would say this: do your due diligence on these companies that you're working with.
Yeah.
See if they actually have a website. That's one thing. See, man, as of late, I've been seeing notaries complain about not payments. Yeah. And I think that's unfortunate to have to, especially if you're doing a signing that's $80 or $75, and you waiting 45 days, and then that person still hasn't paid you your money when the 45-day period is already up. And $75, I think that's crazy. Yeah, I would say for a system like, always check the payment terms. Mm-hmm. So here, this is something slick that companies do. They'll send you a text. They want to see if you're available for a particular signing. And what they do is they don't tell you what the payment terms are until you actually accept it. They'll tell you what the payment terms are until you receive the confirmation, and then you find out it's like, oh, it's 30 days. If you always ask what the payment terms are before accepting the signing, because most companies are going to make you wait 30 days, right? So I would say that always ask what the payment terms are. For me, I'm always going to tell you what the payment terms are up front. I tell you, hey, what type of signing this is, if it involves scanning or printing, and we're going to pay you in 24 hours, which I pretty much do anyway.
Right.
But most people are not going to tell you, but most companies are not going to tell you that. They're going to wait till you actually see the confirmation to where you already accepted the signing. And then if you turn around and don't accept the signing, then they're going to talk bad about you. They're going to try to blacklist you and all that funny, all the little funny stuff that goes on. I would always say ask for the payment terms first, because you don't want to be one of those notaries that's on one of these forums and you complaining about not receiving payment, and then you're trying to report this company. Because here's what the signing service is going to do. All they're do is they're going to cancel that company who has a bad rep, and they're going to end up creating a whole new LLC and a totally different name, have that, and still have the same clients that who they were working with before. Mm-hmm. So I will say it again. Always have a system in place always ask. It may not be a system, but always put your payment terms before accepting assignment. And if it's not the payment terms that you like, by all means, turn it down. And if you do like the payment terms, go ahead and accept it. But always do your due diligence first before accepting assignments. Hate to do that.
Yeah, and definitely don't feel bad about like following up. Like I know some people be like, oh, check up the dues. I remember I was on the I think it was the Loan Signing Hustle podcast, and I had asked that question because at that time I was in a situation where I had did a closing for a title company out in Texas, and they called me directly, and we did the whole closing and everything. And I kid you not, it probably was like 6 months had passed, and it was like no payment. And so when I was following up via email, it really wasn't. It was like a lack of communication. Like it kind of was there, but it just wasn't steady. And then I think I maybe got a little bit more persistent and called on top of the email. But it was every time it was like the person that I dealt with directly, it would be like, oh, well, this is an accounting thing. I'll, reach out to them, blah, blah, blah. And they'd be like, oh, you still ain't get paid yet, girl? I ain't calling you to say, hey. Right. No, I ain't get paid yet. Right. This ain't no chit chat type of call. So it's it seemed like she was willing, but there was still some type of resistance. And you're on the other end, this is 6 months. It's at this point, just pay me my money and let me, go on about my business. So it definitely happens. Of course, the best way to move around it is to get paid up front. Especially if you want to set that up in your Calendly. It's straightforward. People already know it is what it is. There's also a little box at the bottom where you can add additional notes if you want to put your cancellation fee in there. If you want to put, I'm charging you this $25. This is your travel fee. The remainder will be due, blah, blah, blah. If you put in there, I'll reach out to you, via email or text to send you an invoice or continue payment options. Whatever, you have an option to put in that box. But definitely make sure you get your money. That's it.
You shouldn't have to you shouldn't not only not to have to keep following up or blowing people up to find out where your money is, but you shouldn't be made to feel bad about it as well. You will have companies that say, oh, you're doing all of this for $80. Was well, yeah, you're forcing me to have to do this. If you would have just paid me when you was originally supposed to pay me, I wouldn't have to be following up with you regarding this $80. Regardless if it's $80, regardless if it's $50. You reached out to me to provide a service for you. I did. I held up my end of the bargain. Make sure you hold up your end. That's all you got to do. So, yeah, it's frustrating for notaries to have to deal with that, because I've had situations where I'm like, no, I don't work with companies who I don't know I got burned before. So no. And the only thing you can do is respect it. You just have to respect their decision to decline the signing. So always ask what your payment terms are, so you don't have to be blowing folks up about your money, or they're trying to make you feel bad about following up over $100 or $80, whatever the case may be. So follow up, and everything else should fall in place. Before we wrap up, We coming up. I didn't even ask you how was the wedding social? The rooftop.
It was good. Yes, it was good. The food was really, really, really good. It was very nice out. Sharon came out. It was her birthday, so that was really nice. We definitely agreed. The vibes was on point, so I think we're going to go back there for August. But for July, we are actually doing a virtual meetup social. So that is Thursday the 13th from 6 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. Of course, we want you to RSVP so you get the link, but we're super excited. It's open to officiants nationwide. So if you live in California and you can't come to our in-person social, well, now you can pop up and party with us virtually.
Yeah, I got good, man. One of these days, I'm gonna come to Jersey. One of these days. I don't know when, but one of these days, I need to do like a tour or something.
No, for real.
Up and down the East Coast. I got a lot. I know a lot of notaries out on the East Coast and it's down south in general. So one of these days, I got to get on that. Do we have anything coming up? I don't have anything coming up. Well, our 2-year anniversary is coming up at the end of this month. It'll be 2 years since I launched Stamper Signings, nationwide signing agency. I've learned a lot within that time frame. 2-year anniversary is coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. I might end up doing something special for y'all, probably like a free workshop or something like that to help y'all to start your own signing agency. It's not really hard at all. I know a lot of people think you need to be on SnapDocs and sign an order and all that stuff to get started. I don't use any of those forms, and I've been up and running going on 2 years now. So be on the lookout for an announcement for something like that. I may end up doing something like a free workshop that's a gift to y'all. Always like to give away a lot of free stuff and help folks get in the business. But other than that, I am running a sale. I'm going to be running a sale all week on estate plan signing 101. I'm starting to see more and more people starting to talk about estate planning. It's definitely a great service to offer. Lower barrier to entry. You don't got to be an NNA member and all this stuff that they require you to do through loan signings to get this type of business. So go to, where would you go to? I'll type it in the chat. I'll type it in the comments, but I'll go to bit.ly/ESP 101 course. I just posted the link in the comments. So if you want to grab estate plan signing 101, you want to learn how to consistently book estate plan signings and totally reverse your course of your business, I highly recommend grabbing this course. I've had a lot of notaries who I've worked with grab it. They've been able to get results, been able to book estate plan signings themselves, and this is an overall good space to get into and still pays just as much as loan signings does. So definitely encourage you to grab it. And ask questions. I'm always here if you have any questions or concerns about estate planning, how to get into the space, or just how to market yourself, or if you got questions about particular documents in general. So make sure you grab that, tell a notary or two. We appreciate y'all for tuning in today for another episode of Leveraging Your L's. We hope you gained a lot of value from this episode about getting your systems in place and also making sure you're confirming those payment terms when you are working with signing services. So you don't got to be in these forums complaining about these signing services, and you ain't got to be blowing these folks up about where your money is at, all right? Get paid up front. Focus on getting your own clients so you don't have to go through the middleman, and you're going to see that life, not only your business is going to improve, but your life is going to improve as well. You don't have to go to man and going through all the BS that comes along with that. It helps with your anxiety and helps you to focus more on those things that's more important and helping you grow your business. And until then, appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all like. Make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you on next week. Peace.